So dear viewers, today let us have a glimpse of environmental acts and policies of India, which controls our conducts, okay. Now we have around 15 to 16 environmental acts and policies, but for the examination point of view, these two acts are quite important, okay. So that is why today we will discuss about these two acts. And if you want a further discussion about all the acts, then please let me know in the comment section. I will make videos on them. Clear? So without further ado, let us have a look. So at first we have Environmental Protection Act. So at number 1 we have Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Remember this date, 1986. Clear? So this act states that to fight the problem of pollution. This act was enacted to fight the environmental pollution. So what kind of environmental pollution? Let us check. So if any activity is contributing to the pollution of environment, then that activity will come under Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Remember this thing. Clear? So this act empowers the central government to stop activities that is contributing to pollution. Clear? So if any activity is contributing to the pollution, or is any activity that is degrading the environment, then the central government will have the highest authority, or central government will have the power to stop or prohibit that act. Okay. Now in another point, special procedures to handle hazardous substances. So along with that, this act carries a special provision to handle hazardous substances. It means if someone is producing fertilizers, right, someone is producing more amount of CAGs, clear, so then that company or that entity will have to face a stringent punishment, or that person or that kind of activity can be monitored quite well by the same central government through this act. Clear? Got it? Let me erase this mess. Okay, after that, and it has one more point. Anyone can file a case if found violating the Environmental Protection Act, or if found polluting the environment. Clear? So any person can file a case against the violation of these pollution rules. Clear? And that is why in 2020's environmental draft policy, this clause was removed, and people raised their voice because it is one of the case where the general people can so motally sue an activity or sue an entity that is increasing the activity, that is increasing the amount of pollution. Clear? And in the second one we have what? Stringent penalties. It means this act carries stringent penalties if found guilty. Clear? Remember this thing. And after that we have supreme provisions of this act. Okay, so it means if while judging an activity, clear, while judging an activity, if any other rule made by Government of India collides with the Environmental Protection Act of 1986, then the Environmental Protection Act of 1986 will have the ultimate authority, or that activity will come under Environmental Protection Act only. Clear? So it grants immunity. Now remember this point. This Environmental Protection Act grants immunity to officials for any act they have delivered with reference, it should be with reference to the law. So it means if any forest officials or any special official who is assigned to look after environmental activities, and in that case if he takes any decision or if he punish anyone, and that person cannot be sued, that person cannot be sued for his delivery of judgment. Clear? Now the second one, we have Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Remember this thing, Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Clear? Number, we have this Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Clear? So this act of 1972, it does not empower, or state government cannot declare any wildlife animal into a vermin. Okay, so the state government cannot declare any animal, which is any animal, as vermin. So vermin means the kind of animals which have low threat of extinctions, okay, which are found everywhere. Okay, so that can be those kind of animals can be killed for consumption. Clear? So that kind of animals is called as vermin. So here the power of declaring an animal as a vermin is in the hands of the central government, not in the hands of state government. Remember this thing. Okay, now after that what we have is that immunization of livestock within the radius of 5 km. It means, sorry for the typing mistake, so immunization of livestock within the radius of 5 km from a national park or sanctuary, etc. Okay, or biosphere reserve. So according to this act of 1972, or the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, so any area within the range of 5 km near a, or within the range of a 5 km of national park or sanctuary or biosphere reserve, the livestock residing within that radius should be immunized. Why so? Because if any contagious disease attacks the livestock of that nearby or the adjacent area of national park, then that disease may spread into the animals of the sanctuary as well, or the animals of the national parks as well. And apart from this, what we have is that animals that are protected under Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 Part 2 are given absolute protection, maximum penalty. So we do have under this Wildlife Protection Act, we have certain schedules. Okay, so the Schedule 1 animals that are listed under Schedule 1, animals that are listed under Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 Part 2 are highly protected. Okay, if anyone found guilty or found killing this kind of, or guilty of killing this kind of animals which are listed under these two schedules, will have the stringent amount of penalty. Clear? And in the Schedule 5 we will have this vermines. Just sometimes back we talked about vermines, isn't it? So this vermine is put under the Schedule 5 of the Wildlife Protection Act. So there are how many kind of vermines in India? Common fox, virtual bats, jackals and mice. These are vermines. Okay, remember these facts. And under this act, National Board for Wildlife was constituted. So remember this fact, it is quite important. National Board for Wildlife was constituted under or through or by this act. Okay, by taking the reference of this act, Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, National Board for Wildlife was constituted. And this National Board for Wildlife is chaired by whom? It is chaired by the Prime Minister. Clear? It is the National Board of Wildlife is the apex body. Clear? It is the apex body to review the approval of all matters related to wildlife projects of national parks, sanctuaries, etc. Okay, so this national board this national board of wildlife sorry this national board for wildlife has, or it is the apex body to review all the matters related to wildlife projects and national parks and sanctuaries etc. So we knew that this national parks and sanctuaries are declared by whom? By declared by wildlife, national board for wildlife. Okay, and it is chaired by whom? It is chaired by prime minister. Even national, see, one more act, one more body, national tiger conservation authority is also constitute under this, is also constitute is also constitute under this act. So by taking the reference of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, National Tiger Conservation Authority was also constitute. And apart from this, there is one more body that was constitute, or that was created by taking the reference of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, that is the Central Zoo Authority. So the zoos are under Central Zoo Authority, and this Central Zoo Authority was also constructed or also constitute by taking the reference of Wildlife Protection Act. So that is all for today. Thank you for watching this video.